The second character this series will recap can very easily be seen as the series' deuteragonist. Riku is a bold young man from Destiny Islands and is best friends with both Sora and Kairi. When we first meet him in Kingdom Hearts 1, he's cocky and self-assured, but over the course of the games he's become less so, questioning if he's making the correct choices in his life. Chronologically speaking, the first major event in his life in regards to the plot of the series happened back when he and Sora are both 4 years old. Well, technically speaking, he was probably 5, he's a year older than Sora. He comes into contact with a man named Terra who passes on the ability to wield a Keyblade to him, though Riku doesn't understand exactly what happened in this circumstance. Fast forward to Kingdom Hearts 1, he's now 15 and dreams of exploring the worlds outside of Destiny Island. This dream happens to come true, but not quite how he initially intended. Instead of exploring the ocean on a raft with his friends, he instead opens his heart to darkness when the Heartless start devouring his world. He ends up waking up a Hollow Bastion which Maleficent was using as a base of operations for her cabal of Disney villains. She takes him under her wings, promising to help him find his friends, but ultimately is planning on corrupting him to her cause. Using a chance run-in with Sora, Donald, and Goofy, she plants the idea that Sora has replaced both Riku and Kairi with the affable Disney stooges, and he agrees to basically become her errand boy. He commits a number of heinous acts across all the Disney worlds, namely kidnapping Princess Jasmine from Agrabah, scaring the living daylights out of Pinocchio, and creating an evil shadow clone of Sora. This culminates in a confrontation between Sora and Riku at Hollow Bastion, where Sora's Keyblade, for a time, trades hands. See, Sora's Keyblade was actually Riku's, the one that was passed down by Terra. However, giving himself over to darkness forced the thing to jump to Sora. With Sora emotionally disjointed by this point in his journey, Riku was able to take it back, but after a pep talk from the beast, Sora is able to reclaim the blade and fight off Riku. Panicked, Riku gives into the darkness even more in order to gain more power to fight off Sora, and ultimately becomes possessed by the real mastermind behind both the Heartless and the Disney villain team, a man named Ansem. Riku manages to resist the possession briefly. Take notes on that, I'll come back to it much later on in this series recap. But ultimately he loses his corporeal form to Ansem and his heart and soul become trapped in the realm of darkness, which is sort of like the Upside Down from Stranger Things. At the end of Kingdom Hearts 1, Ansem has constructed the first Kingdom Hearts we see in the series, and it's a big door that opens the path between the realms of light and darkness. If it stays open, darkness will pour out and consume the worlds of light, so that thing has to close ASAP. After Ansem is defeated by Sora, Riku's body returns to him in the realm of darkness. He arrives on his side of the door and sacrifices himself by volunteering to close it from the inside, making Sora to promise to take care of Kairi before it shuts. Next we see him, he's waking up in the basement of Castle Oblivion at the same time that Sora's running through it. He's guided towards the exit by a mysterious man named Diz, as well as King Mickey himself, who was also stuck in the realm of darkness with him back when the whole door shenanigans happened. Riku encounters 2 organization members and, like Sora, bests both of them, though not before getting cloned by one of them. This clone only exacerbates an internal struggle he has over the darkness in his heart, and eventually he manages to defeat the clone, kill the organization members, and tame the remnants of Ansem that permanently have stained his heart. Finally exiting the castle, he decides to take the middle road from now on, both figuratively and literally, advancing on towards the dawn, as so he puts it. He is next seen helping Diz fulfill his own plans by assisting in restoring Sora's memories in the wake of Castle Oblivion. There's a snag, however, as he needs to subdue 2 powerful ex-organization members, Xion and Roxas, and in order to beat the latter, he needs to give in fully to the darkness inside of him. This ends with victory over Roxas, but leaves him with the appearance of Ansem. If any of you are wondering, this fight is the badass secret ending from Kingdom Hearts 1. We pick up with him in Kingdom Hearts 2, where he finishes up with his duties involving helping Sora restore his memories. He then vanishes for what feels like half the game, and only shows up in a meaningful way at the end of the game when Sora is making his charge through the world that never was. When Diz enacts his final plans, the machine he's using backfires and cleans Riku's heart, which means instead of looking like an evil pointy-faced ice cream cone of death, he now looks like a walking Hot Topic ad. He reconciles with Sora and Kairi, they all have a heartfelt moment, and he makes a final charge against Xemnas with Sora. His story closely mirrors Sora from that point forward up until the two enter the Keyblade Master Trials under Yen Sid's orders. Riku and Sora are separated at the beginning of the game, and what ends up happening is that Sora is the only person actually traveling through the sleeping worlds. Riku has instead been dragged into Sora's dreams and become a Dream Eater, an entity designed to fight nightmares, which are the monsters that replace the Heartless for Dream Drop Distance. While Sora goes through what was intended for the real exam, Riku has been protecting Sora from the influences of Master Xehanort, who has been interfering with the exam since the word go. Riku only learns all this when it's too late, however, arriving just in time to stop Sora from being completely possessed, but not enough time to stop him from briefly falling into the darkness. Riku manages to repel Xehanort and his cronies, along with the help of a number of allies that have wormed their way into the dream world, and rescue Sora. After that, he dives into Sora's dreams one last time to wake him up from the darkness encroaching on his heart. Afterward, Riku is made an official master, Sora isn't, but everyone is happy all around regardless. With Sora awake, Yansei begins shuffling people off on the different various missions. Riku ends up bringing Kairi to the tower in order to train her as a Keyblade wielder, yeah, don't worry, we'll get to that, while revealing that Aqua, a close friend of Terra and Ventus, was actually at the door closing back in Kingdom Hearts 1. Riku gets pissed that she's been trapped down there for years, especially since she apparently helped him all invisible hand style. It's explained that going after her back then would have been a fool's errand since getting out of the realm of darkness with her would almost have been impossible with how strong the protagonists were at that point. Now, however, Riku and Mickey, both being masters, are qualified to enter the Dark Realm and pull her out, which is where we'll see them in Kingdom Hearts 3. I think that goes well for them. Oh. Next up is Kairi, the proverbial third wheel of the Destiny Island crew, both according to her amount of initiative in the story, and according to about half the fanfiction community. In reality, she's the spunkiest of the island crew, a kind but incredibly playful girl who's prone to bouts of energetic snap decisions. She's fiercely protective of her friends, often throwing herself into harm's way to keep her loved ones safe, and is particularly defensive of Sora. Jokes about the gay shipping in the fandom aside, her relationship with Sora is probably the closest we'll ever get to an actual plot-driven romance in the series. Kairi's story begins when she's living in Radiant Garden when she's 4 years old and living with her grandmother. She meets the previously mentioned Aqua, who senses some incredible light inside Kairi's heart, which will become important later. She wards Kairi with a spell that will lead her to someone that will protect her in her most dire moments, and inadvertently Kairi touches Aqua's Keyblade, inheriting the ability to wield Keyblades herself. Not that that will be relevant for a little while. About a year after this encounter, Radiant Garden is attacked and almost completely destroyed by Heartless and Darkness. It's assumed that this is when Aqua's ward first kicks in, and Kairi shows up on Destiny Islands on the night of a meteor shower. Fast forward 9 years to Kingdom Hearts 1 where she's 14. Again, she, Sora, and Riku are plotting to leave the island on their raft. The night of the storm, Kairi also went to the island to make sure the raft was safe, but wound up inside the cave on the island. When Sora finds her, she appears ill and collapses into him, and in this moment she transfers her heart into his. Whether she did this on purpose, somehow out of instinct, or because of Aqua's charm isn't really clear, but the idea is that Kairi's heart is actually traveling with Sora through most of Kingdom Hearts 1. Her body, however, somehow winds up in possession of Maleficent, who uses it as leverage to further pull Riku onto her side. It is revealed that Kairi is one of 7 princesses of heart, women and girls with incredibly pure hearts that serve as catalysts to open Kingdom Hearts. Which is why she, along with so many other memorable Disney characters, were kidnapped. When Sora learns that Kairi's heart is inside of him, he sacrifices himself and she comes to life just in time to see him fade away. Even after he's gone, she's quick to defend him, and while fleeing, she instinctually picks out his Heartless and somehow revives him. Sora, Kairi, Donald, and Goofy go back to Traverse Town where they're all regroup and collect themselves. This gives Sora and Kairi a moment to have a heart-to-heart and acknowledge that because their hearts were linked, they'll never be far apart. This comes in useful because literally the next time we see her it's at the end of the game when Destiny Island is being restored from the end of the world. She gets dragged away from Sora and they reaffirm their promise to find each other again once they're separated. She doesn't appear much in the intervening year, and from what I can tell she was heavily affected by the memory shenanigans Naminé put on Sora, only barely able to recall him when no one else can. Sometime when she's 15 years old, her heart comes into contact with a boy named Roxas, and through him, Sora, though only briefly. Feeling invigorated by the connection, she writes a letter to Sora and sends it in a bottle out into the ocean. Eventually, an organization member named Axel arrives and tries to kidnap her. She escapes through a portal and winds up in Twilight Town where she briefly befriends some of the kids there. Unfortunately, Axel tracks her down and successfully takes her, only for her to get taken away from him by another organization member named Sayax. She's taken prisoner to the world that never was, but is freed by Naminé, who helps her escape. When the two are cornered, they're rescued by Riku, who Kairi accepts even in his altered state. They group up with Sora, have a big hug over things, and when they head out, Kairi is able to fight back using her own Keyblade, though obviously nowhere near as well as Sora or Riku. From here, she plays moral support through the rest of the fights in the game, except for the last one where everyone in their group got the hell out of Dodge because the world was literally collapsing around them. She returns to Destiny Islands with everyone but Sora and Riku, and her letter from earlier is the reason Sora and Riku are able to return home. She welcomes them back, and the next time we see her, she's delivering Mickey's note about the Mark of Mastery exam to Sora and Riku. After making Sora promise to come back, they head off and she's left on the islands alone. Later, Riku seeks her out and they travel to Yen Sid's to get her properly trained as a Keyblade wielder. Presumably this is where Kingdom Hearts 3 will pick up, with her getting trained alongside Axel's human form to be a proper Keyblade wielder. What's that, you ask? Axel's human form? Yeah, trust me, we'll get to that. It's kind of a biggie. But that's all the time we have for this video. We'll burn that bridge when we get to it. If you like this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel. If you do, remember to click that bell to get the actual notifications YouTube should send you with its subscriptions. If you think I missed something vital or want to discuss something with fellow fans of the series, leave a comment down below. Consider also becoming a member on my channel by clicking the join button on the YouTube gaming link that I have, so you can get a nifty little icon next to your name every time you comment on one of my chats while I stream. And if you want to support this channel, please check out my Patreon. For $1 or more, you get access to the Team Frostbite Discord server where critics and fans alike like to mingle. A loving shout out to each and every one of my current patrons who help keep this little channel afloat. Without you guys lighting the proverbial torch under my rear, nothing would ever get done, I swear. That's all for now. Stay tuned for the next video in this series, The House of Mouse.